The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. She was one of those pretty and charming girls born, as through fate had blundered over her, into a family of artisans. She had no marriage portion, no expectations, no means of getting known, no understood, loved, and wedded by a man of wealth and distinction. She let herself be married off to the little clerk in the Ministry of Education. Her tastes were simple, because she had never been able to afford any other. She was as happy as though she had married beneath her, for women have no caste or class, their beauty, grace, and charm serving them for birth or family, their natural delicacy, their instinctive elegance, their nimbleness of wit, are their only marks of rank, and put the slum girl on a level with the highest lady in the land. She suffered endlessly, feeling herself born for every delicacy and luxury. She suffered from the poorness of her house, from its mean walls, worn chairs, and ugly curtains, all these things of which other women of her class would not even have been aware, tormented and insulted her. The sight of the little Breton girl who came to do the work in her little house aroused heartbroken regrets and hopeless dreams in her mind. She imagined silent antechambers, heavy with oriental tapestries, lit by torches and lofty bronze sockets, with two tall footmen in knee breeches sleeping in large armchairs, overcome by the heavy warmth of the stove. She imagined vast saloons hung with antique silks, exquisite pieces of furniture supporting priceless ornaments, and small, charming, perfumed rooms created just for little parties of intimate friends. Men who were famous and sought after, whose homage roused every other woman's envious longings. When she sat down for dinner at the round table covered with 3 days-old cloth opposite her husband, who took the cover off the soup tureen, exclaiming delightedly, "Aha, Scotch broth! Who could be better? What could be better?" She imagined delicate meals, gleaming silver, tapestries peopling the walls with folk of past age, and strange birds of fairy forests. She imagined delicate food, served in marvelous dishes, murmured gallantries, listened to with an inscrutable smile as one trifled with the rosy flesh of trout or wings of asparagus chicken. She had no clothes, no jewels, nothing, and these were the only things she loved. She felt that she was made for them. She had longed so eagerly to charm, to be desired, to be wildly attractive and sought after. She had a rich friend, an old school friend whom she refused to visit. She suffered so keenly when she returned home. She would weep whole days with grief, regret, despair, and misery. One evening her husband came home with an exultant air, holding a large envelope in his hand. "Here's something for you," he said. Swiftly she tore the paper and drew out a printed card on which were these words: "The Minister of Education and Madame Rapinoe request the pleasure of the company of Monseigneur and Madame Loisel at the Ministry on the evening of Monday, January 18th." Instead of being delighted at her husband's hope, she flung the invitation petulantly across the table, murmuring, "What do you want me to do with this? Why, darling, I thought you'd be pleased. You never go out, and this is a great occasion. I had tremendous trouble to get it. Everyone wants one. It's very select. Very few go to the clerks. You'll see all the really big people go there." She looked at him with furious eyes and said impatiently, "And what do you suppose I am to wear at such an affair?" He had not thought about it. He stammered, "Why, the dress you go to the theatre in looks very nice to me." He stopped, stupefied and utterly at a loss, when he saw that his wife was beginning to cry. Two large tears ran slowly down from the corners of her eyes towards the corners of her mouth. "What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you?" he faltered. But with a violent effort she overcame her grief and replied in a calm voice, wiping wet cheeks, "Nothing. Only I haven't a dress, and so I can't go to this party. Give your invitation to some friend of yours, whose wife will be turned out better than I shall." He was heartbroken. "Look here, Mathilde," he persisted. "What would be the cost of a suitable dress, which you could use on other occasions as well? Something very simple." She thought for several seconds, reckoning up prices, and also wondering how large a sum she could ask without bringing her upon herself an immediate refusal and exclamation of horror from the careful-minded clerk. At last she replied with some hesitation, "I don't know exactly, but I think I could do it on 400 francs." He grew slightly pale. This is exactly the amount he has been saving for a gun, intending to get a little shooting next summer on the plain of Nanterre with some friends who went lark shooting there on Sundays. "Nevertheless," he said, "very well, I'll give you 400 francs, but try to get a really nice dress with the money." The day of the party drew near, and Madame Loisel seemed sad, uneasy, and anxious. Her dress was ready. However, one evening her husband said to her, "What's the matter with you? You've been very odd for the last 3 days." "I'm utterly miserable at not having any jewels, not a single stone to wear," she replied. I shall look absolutely no one. I would absolutely rather not go to the party." "Wear flowers," he said. "They're very smart at this time of year. For 10 francs you could get 2 or 3 gorgeous roses." She was not convinced. "No, there's nothing so humiliating as looking poor in the middle of a lot of rich people, a lot of rich women." "How stupid you are!" exclaimed her husband. "Go and see Madame Forrester, and see her to lend you some jewels. You know her quite well enough for that." She uttered a cry of delight. "That's true, I never thought of that." Next day she went to see her friends and told her trouble. Madame Forrester went to her dressing table, took up a large box, brought it to Madame Loisel, opened it, and said, "Choose, my dear." First she saw some bracelets, then a pearl necklace, then a Venetian cross and golden gems, of exquisite workmanship. She tried the effect of the jewels before the mirror, hesitating, unable to make up her mind to leave them, to give them up. She kept asking, "Haven't you anything else?" "Yes, look for yourself. I don't know what you would look like best." Suddenly she discovered in a black satin case a superb diamond necklace. Her heart began to beat covetously. Her hands trembled as she lifted it. She fastened it round her neck, upon her high dress, and remained in ecstasy at sight of herself. Then with hesitation she asked in anguish, "Could you lend me this? Just this alone?" "Yes, of course." She flung herself on her friend's breast, embraced her frenziedly, and went away with her treasure. The day of the party arrived. Madame Loisel was a success. She was the prettiest woman present, elegant, graceful, smiling, and quite above herself with happiness. All the men stared at her, inquired her name, and asked to be introduced to her. All the under-secretaries of state were eager to waltz with her. The minister noticed her. She danced madly, ecstatically, drunk with pleasure, with no thought for anything, in the triumph of her beauty, in the pride of her success, and a cloud of happiness made up this universal homage and admiration of the desires she had aroused, of the completeness of a victory so dear to her feminine heart. She left about 4 o'clock in the morning. Since midnight her husband had been dozing in a deserted little room, in company with 3 other men whose wives were having a good time. He threw over her shoulders the garments he had brought for them to go home in, modest everyday clothes whose poverty clashed with the beauty of the ball dress. She was conscious of this, and was anxious to hurry away, so that she would not be noticed by the other women putting on their costly furs. Loisel restrained her. "Wait a little, you'll catch a cold in the open. I'm going to fetch a cab." But she didn't listen to him, and rapidly descended the staircase. When they were out in the street they could not find a cab. They began to look for one, shouting at the drivers, whom they saw passing in the distance. They walked down towards the scene, desperate and shivering. At last they found on the quay one of those old night-prowling carriages, which only to be seen in Paris after dark, as though they were ashamed of their shabbiness in the daylight. It brought them to their door in the Rue des Martyrs, and sadly they walked up to their own apartment. It was the end for her. As for him, he was thinking he must be at the office at 10. She took off the garments in which she had wrapped her shoulders, so as to see herself in all her glory before the mirror. But suddenly she uttered a cry. The necklace was no longer around her neck. "What's the matter with you?" asked her husband, already half undressed. She turned towards him in utmost distress. I've no longer got Madame Forrester's necklace." He started with astonishment. "What? Impossible." They searched in the folds of her dress, in the folds of the coat, in the pockets everywhere. They could not find it. "Are you sure that you still had it when you came away with the from the ball?" he asked. "Yes, I touched it in the hall at the ministry. But if you had lost it in the street, we should have heard it fall." "Yes, probably we should." "Did you take the number of the cab?" "No." "You didn't notice it, did you?" No. They stared at one another, dumbfounded. At last Loisel put on his clothes again. "I'll go over all the ground we walked," he said, "and see if I can't find it." And he went out. She remained in her evening clothes, lacking strength to get into bed, huddled on a chair, without volition of power of thought. Her husband returned about 7. He had found nothing. He went to the police station, to the newspapers, to offer a reward, to the cab companies. Everywhere that a ray of hope impelled him. She waited all day long, in the same state of bewilderment as at his fearful catastrophe. Loisel came home at night, his face lined with and pale. He had discovered nothing. "You must write to your friend," he said, "and tell her that you've broken the clasp of her necklace and are getting it mended. Now give us some time to look about us." She wrote at his dictation. By the end of the week they had lost all hope. Loisel, who had aged 5 years, declared, "We must see about replacing the diamonds." Next day they took the box which had held the necklace, and went to the jeweler's whose name was inside. He consulted his books. "It was not I who sold you this necklace, madam. I must have merely supplied the clasp." Then they went from jeweler to jeweler, searching for another necklace like the first, consulting their memories, both ill with remorse and anguish of mind. In a shop at the Palais Royal they found a string of diamonds, which seemed to them exactly like the one they were looking for. It was worth 40,000 francs. They were allowed to have it for 46,000. They begged the jeweler not to sell it for 3 days, and they arranged matters on understanding that it would be taken back for 34,000 francs. If the first one were found before the end of February, Loisel possessed 18,000 francs left to him by his father. He intended to borrow the rest. He did borrow it, getting 1,000 from one man, 500 from another, 5 louis here, 3 louis there. He gave notes on hand, entered into ruinous agreements, did business with usurers, and a whole tribe of money lenders. He mortgaged the whole remaining years of his existence, risked his signatures without even knowing if he could honor it, and appalled at the agonizing face of the future, at the black misery about to fall upon him, at the prospect of every possible physical privation and moral torture. He went to get the new necklace and put down upon the jeweler's counter 36,000 francs. When Madame Loisel took back the necklace to Madame Forestier, the latter said to her in a chilly voice, "You ought to have brought it back sooner. I might have needed it." She did not, as her friend had feared, open the case. If she had noticed the substitution, what would she have thought? What would she have said? Would she not have taken her for a thief? Madame Loisel came to know the ghastly life of abject poverty. From the very first she played her part heroically. This fearful debt must be paid off. She would pay it. The servant was dismissed. They exchanged their flat. They took a garret under the roof. She came to know the heavy work of the house, the hateful duties of the kitchen. She washed the plates, wearing out her pink nails, on the coarse pottery, and the bottoms of pans. She washed the dirty linen, the shirts and dishcloths, and hung them out to dry on a string. Every morning she took the dustbin down into the street and carried up the water, stopping on each landing to get her breath. And clad like a poor woman, she went to the fruiterer, to the grocer, to the butcher, a basket on her arm, haggling and insulted, fighting for every wretched halfpenny of her money. Every month notes had to be paid off, others renewed, time gained. Her husband worked in the evenings at putting straight a merchant's accounts, and often at night he did copying at 2 pence halfpenny a page. And this life lasted 10 years. At the end of 10 years, everything was paid off, everything, the usurer's charges and the acclamation of superimposed interest. Madame Loisel looked old now. She had become like all the other strong, hard, coarse women of poor households. Her hair was badly done. Her skirts were awry. Her hands were red. She spoke in a shrill voice, and the water slopped all over the floor when she scrubbed it. But sometimes her husband was at the office. When her husband was at the office, she sat down by the window and thought of that evening long ago, of the ball, which she had been so beautiful and so much admired. What would have happened if she never lost those jewels? Who knows? Who knows? How strange life is, how fickle. How little is needed to ruin or to save. One Sunday, as she had gone for a walk along the Champs-Élysées to freshen herself after the labors of the week, she caught sight suddenly of a woman who was taking a child out for a walk. It was Madame Forestier, still young, still beautiful, still attractive. Madame Loisel was conscious of some emotion. Should she speak to her? Yes, certainly, and now that she had paid, she would tell her all. Why not? She went up to her. Good morning, Janine. The other did not recognize her, and was surprised at being thus familiarly addressed by a poor woman. But madame, she stammered, I don't know. You must be making a mistake. No, I am Mathilde Loisel. Her friend uttered a cry. Oh, my poor Mathilde. How you have changed. Yes, I have had some hard times since I saw you last, and many sorrows. And all on your account. My account? How is that? You remember the diamond necklace you lent me to the ball at the ministry? Yes, well, I lost it. How could you? Why, you brought it back. I brought you another one just like it. And for the last 10 years we've been paying for it. You realize it wasn't easy for us. We had no money. Well, it's paid for at last, and I am glad indeed. Madame Forestier had halted. You say you bought a diamond necklace to replace mine? Yes, you hadn't noticed it. They were very much alike, and she smiled in proud and innocent happiness. Madame Forestier, deeply moved, took her 2 hands. Oh, my poor Mathilde! But mine was an imitation. It was worth at the very most 500 francs. And that's the end of The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. I liked it. It had kind of a twist ending that you saw coming. If you watched any media over the past 20 years, you saw that ending coming, because a lot of stories probably copied that. Just a basic twist ending of, well, I don't know how much 500 francs are, or whatever it is, but I don't know how much that is compared to current U.S. dollars. So I don't really get that, but I assume it wasn't worth very much. It was a copy that wasn't worth very much. The story reminds me of how much life is different for rich people than it is for poor people. Poor people's lives have these moments that are special, that define them, and their world revolves around these one or two or a few just little moments. Whereas rich people, their entire lives are like rich people's lives are like a cakewalk, and everything is really simple. But in a lot of ways, that's boring. A lot of ways, their rich people's lives don't have as interesting stories. Their lives aren't as interesting if you really listen to them, because everything is handed to them, and they're okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with rich people. It's just their lives are so easy that they're boring. You know, they don't. I don't know what to say. Yeah, it was a good story. I liked the details. I liked the beginning. The beginning was more exciting than the end. It was sad how her life kind of. I wouldn't say her life fell apart, but it also reminds me of how people put so much effort into living it up when they're young, not knowing that the rest of their life they could pay off some of the things that they do when they're young, but it's worth it because the moments are so great that you appreciate it. You want those highs. You want those highs and you want those lows because it makes you feel something. The highs and lows make you feel something because if you don't try to do something with your life, you don't feel anything at all. If you don't try for those highs and lows, the highs bring the lows, but in a lot of ways, it would make more sense to just not even not even get the necklace, not even go to the ball. I mean, you can go to the ball, just don't use a necklace or whatever, because you won't have to work as hard over your life. It won't take as much of a toll on you. The story also makes me think of material things. Like, you shouldn't put too much stock in material things. I put a lot of stock in my computer. My computer is pretty expensive, so I feel bad about having an expensive computer and relying on it to do this YouTube channel and like dreaming that one day I could make a career on here. That's foolish, but I think that I think that a lot of material things you shouldn't worry too much about. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought it was kind of beautiful in the beginning of the story how much her husband wanted to give her everything she wanted. I thought that was beautiful. However, and so instead of buying a gun, he bought a dress. What did he buy? He bought like a dress or something before he got the necklace. He got the dress or something like that. And that's something you get when you have a happy marriage. Is your wife helps you make good decisions. Like, you don't want a gun. You want a dress. A dress is always better than a gun. But at the same time, it's all meaningless. It's all material things. None of that stuff really means anything, and it's why I kind of don't really want a serious relationship because I don't want to buy a significant other a bunch of presents. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't want to buy someone a bunch of presents. I know they could comfort me. I know they could make me less lonely. But you still have to buy a bunch of presents. That's what being a man is. You have to buy this, you have to buy that. Oh, she's had a good... But they always have a good effect on a man, and people live longer when they're married than when they're not married. I know that. I know people live longer when they're married versus when they're not married. So it is better to be married. But you know who lives longer than married and unmarried people is priests. Priests live longer than everyone. So you could be asexual and not get in dumb relationships, not getting good relationships, not getting bad relationships, and not getting any serious relationships if you can be a priest. Priests live longer than the normal person's life expectancy. Because they don't have the highs and lows. Priests don't have the highs and lows. I'm not even a Christian, but I can be an asexual priest. If I could just learn to be confident. Learn to be confident in who I am. Let me tell you what a priest does. A priest has platonic friendships. And he's really good at having platonic friendships. And a priest puts platonic friendships above all other relationships. That's what a priest does. He puts platonic friendships over over all other relationships. He doesn't get as high, but he also hopefully doesn't get as low. There's no guarantee that you won't ever get as low. Okay. There's no guarantee you won't ever get as low. So a lot of ways it's stupid to not get as high as you can. A lot of ways it's stupid to not get the highest highs as possible. But you can get high without engaging in any sort of intimate relationship. You can get high just by listening to music. You can get high by watching movies. You can get high by reading short stories. You can get high by playing video games. But honestly, I liked video games more when I was a kid. I don't play them anymore, but when I was a kid, video games were a healthy hobby to have. To me, they don't make any sense for me anymore because I don't really get anything out of video games anymore because they don't increase my sensitivity. And if something doesn't increase my sensitivity, then I don't want to do it. All I care about is sensitivity at this point. Because if I want a career as a priest, as a Christian priest, as a dark priest, then I need asexuality. I need sensitivity. I need sensitivity. I'm not afraid of being sexual. I'm not afraid of that. But I need sensitivity. Sensitivity is what I need more than anything else. And it's in high demand in today's world. It's not going to help me work in a factory. It's not going to help me work in a warehouse. But it is going to help. Sensitivity is going to help me communicate. And it is going to help me be a good person. It is going to help me be endearing, understanding, peaceful, wise, considerate. What else? There's a lot of things sensitivity allows you to do that you might not realize. Okay? You might not realize all these things that sensitivity can give you, all the blessings, all the presents sensitivity can give you. It's not just nothing. You might think, oh, it's nothing. No, it's not nothing. It's worth something. A lot of people think sensitivity is a curse or a weakness. A lot of guys think it's a sign of weakness. Whereas if they like when girls are sensitive, but they don't like when guys are sensitive. Sensitivity is not a sign of weakness. When you focus on your sensitivity, it does make you weaker. It does make you weaker. However, you can also be stronger and be sensitive. You can also learn to be strong with sensitivity, and that's worth something. That's worth something. And learning who you are and learning what you are good at. That's what life's about. Know thyself. It was above Robin Williams' wall in Good Will Hunting. No. Was that above Robin Williams' wall in Good Will Hunting, or was that above... No, that was above the lady in the Matrix. The Oracle in the Matrix, she pointed above her wall, and above the wall it said, know thyself. It wasn't Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting. It was the Oracle in the Matrix. She pointed above her desk, and it said, know thyself. Okay, she was talking to Neo, and she was saying to Neo, if you're not the one, you're not the one. Being the one is like being in love. You either are or you aren't. Sorry, kid, I don't know what to tell you. You either are the one or you're not the one. It's kind of like you can't be half pregnant. You either are pregnant or you aren't pregnant. You're not the one. You already know. When you walked in here, you already know you're not the one. So why kid yourself? And then later on in the story, Neo did convince himself he's the one because, you know what? He gets to decide. He gets to decide if he's the one. But you have to know thyself. You have to know if you are the one or you are not the one. I'm not the one. Maybe you are. Maybe somebody is. I'm not the one. However, I like living in the Matrix. I like living in your computer screen, and your cell phone, and your TV screen. I like living in this digital world where I'm trapped. These walls trap me, and I live in this computer world. But this is where I want to live, inside the Matrix. Know thyself. Know thyself. Oh, this is awful. So those are some reactions to the necklace by Guy de, what's it called? Guy de Maupassant. Guy de Maupassant, the necklace. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think of the story? Did you like it? I liked it. I really like those stories of people who just go through weird experiences and stuff. I like that. Someday maybe I want to write a short story, but I like that. I don't have the creativity to do that. My sister's a really good writer, but I'm not very good at writing. Maybe someday if I practice I can learn to be a good writer. But let me know in the comments below, what did you think of the story? I liked it. Let me know if you liked it in the comments below. Please subscribe to this channel to be part of the community. Please like this video. It really helps out the channel a lot. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.